a task for you. Of late, there are many in this house who have come to view my authority with disdain. As such, there is need of someone unbiased by our house's history and the traditions therein. Someone such as you. We must move quickly. The Tuatha will not hold their strikes for long. Let us stop their next blow. Members of the house may choose one of two paths. The path of the Delver, or the path of the Tender. Delvers are those who commune with the sorrows of the living Fae and the recently deceased. They draw forth these sorrows and assume them. However, most Delvers lost their talent over these last few centuries. But our youngest, Tybri, shows some promise. The Tenders are those sacred few who oversee the decay and decomposition of a Winter Fae's body. They also oversee the Midden itself. For like a body, the Midden is a physical thing, a vessel for rot and ruin, that which is required for death to become rebirth. Finally, they once tended to the gallows tree, but that was before the Tuatha perverted it. You fail to understand. Although the Tuatha wage war with us, as they have with the Alfar, they do so by other methods. Our enemies are subtle. They target individuals, not armies. They strike at convictions, not cities. And by doing so, they can retreat to where we cannot find them. For all our years of struggle, we know only this, that our enemy is led by a Tuatha agent, Saturnin. He is the master of this shadowy coup. We cannot right now. He hides himself and covers his tracks well. But I have a lead which you will investigate with one of our delvers, Tybri. A tender, Catarak, has fled the house and killed a fellow member in doing so. I suspect Saturnin's influence, or perhaps that Catarak might be Saturnin himself. Bring Tybri to the body of Catarak's victim. Though dead, the sorrows will remain on the corpse. The sorrows can lead us to Catarak. There is a tender named Catarak who has fled our ranks. He is somehow tied to Saturnin. I am certain of it. I want you to find him and put an end to him. For if he is not Saturnin himself, then he is betraying our secrets to the Tuatha.
It seems these days that many flock to the Midden, either to jeer at the ruin of the gallows tree, or to bring ruin to this house. Which are you, I wonder? Can he hope for victory alone, when the whole of the house fears defeat? I applaud his determination, but I feel it will be his undoing. We are a thing of necessity, so I am told. An answer to our brethren, the Summer Fae, and the court they have constructed. It is a difficult thing, not to know who your opponent is. No one can truly be trusted, not until Saturnin is stopped. In days long gone by, we would enter the Midden and treat the bodies to ensure that they decayed into the earth that birthed us. But now, we can do nothing. I will no longer stomach the delays and insults of Bizarrain. The house must be led to war. If not by him, then by someone else. There are few places in the world that have magic like the Midden does. This is an ancient place, a home of elder things than we Fae.
So, there is a mortal after all. Bizarrain has done little in his time as king that has been quite so progressive as welcoming a mortal into our fold. His is the voice that cries out when struck dead. I see only doom for our people, and neither Bizarrain nor Sidon can avert it. In time, they might be able to perform their roles once again. But what use are delvers that can hear no sorrow? Tensions run high among their ranks. Quiet place once. I used to watch the rooks and crows rest gently upon its boughs, But now the beasts are savage things, glutting themselves on rotten flesh. How fitting, I think, that this place becomes like the bodies we tend, empty, cold, and eventually consisting of nothing. It is said that Saturnin is one of us, one of the house. But who? Why would one of us betray us to the Tuatha? I have given up, mortal. It is the way of life to struggle, I think, in the jaws of death. But how can we consider ourselves devout if we struggle? No. Let us lay down our arms, let us lay upon the midden soil and pass on.
The mortal. This house is full more of portents than of sorrow these days. Your arrival must truly be a telling of how dark these times have grown. The outcast? What more is there to speak than to say that he abandoned the traditions of this house out of lust for war and reprisal? Perhaps his motives are just. But nature cares little for what one does in the name of justice. Only what one does in the name of survival. Though delvers have heard sorrows in the past, there have, of late, been none that can perform the art. The spirit of the house is flagging, it seems. The tree is ever quiet, but sometimes you can hear it groan under the weight of the indignities it now bears. Saturnin has gone too far with his latest assault. I've seen this house in strong winters and weak ones, but I never pledged my being to a beast as winded and labouring as the house is now. We were greater once. We had tenders and delvers throughout these lands, not individuals huddled in worry over Saturnin and the Tuatha. The beast will be caught, for until now he has not tasted the strength of winter. He will pay for his crimes against us.
And so you come. The least powerful of us in some regards, the most powerful in many others. I am Rorid, mortal, one of the tenders of the Midden. There are those that flee the house, as a crow fleeing a coming storm, but Sidon is more than that. He seeks to free us from the Tuatha. Nothing good remains for us. Too much has already been lost in this struggle with the Tuatha. I have always lived my life here in this house. What will become of me when it is gone? Are our fates bound, or will they be undone? We were hurt the most by the befouling of the Midden. Of those that bay for the Tuatha's blood, none do so louder than the tenders. There is little that can be done for this place now. The Tuatha have sullied our ancestral cradle with the bodies of mortals. It may be changed forever.
So, you were the mortal. There were whispers that Bizarane had welcomed one of you amongst us. But to pick the siege breaker, I am awed. I forget myself. Bizarane has made his wishes clear, and we must do as he asks. Are you ready to begin? I am Tybri. I have only 2 centuries to my name. I was asked to join the house because of my abilities. I can hear them, the sorrows in people, the essence of decay and ruin that precedes winter. I can even hear the sorrows faintly in you. Few delvers are left who can hear any sorrows at all, but never have any claim to hear them as much as I. Many believe me to be a liar, or an abomination. The Midden was once a sacred place for the House of Sorrows, for all winter fae, where the bodies of the dead were left to decompose. Our bodies do not rot as mortal corpses do, so when Saturnin placed the bodies of mortals here, they putrefied, corrupting the Midden. Scavengers and beasts now roam the Midden, and the body we seek is deep within. I must have someone to watch my back. It is done. Cadoroc's sorrows left a strong impression on the corpse. He is hiding in the Siren Crypt in the drowned forest. You should go there, but be wary. The impression Cadoroc left on the body was conflicted. Something is not right here. I will return to the house. With the beast beaten back, it should prove safe enough now. We, are the backbone of the house. Delvers can look into the essence of Winterfell, find the sorrows within, and take upon that burden. The Weeping King was the first to perform this function. The Delvers witnessed his powers, and imitated as they could. Only now, no Delver has this art, save for me. It is the emblem of the house. It is the heart of the midden. It is said it has always been here, even during the times of the Weeping King. To be a member of the house is a great honour. Without the House of Sorrows, there would be no Court of Winter, no culture in these lands, only winter. He is the Faithlog Tocht, the choking vine. He reaches from briars dark and unknown to strangle the life from us. Before there was a Court of Winter, before there was a House of Sorrows, there was the Midden, a place where Winterfell would come to die. The bodies left to rot here mark the covenant of the house. Though the Winterfell may stave off decay to create its courts and culture, they cannot escape it forever. The dead do not speak lies. Cadarok has gone to Siren Crypt in the Drowned Forest. It was once a mighty fortress, but like all things in this war, it was reduced to ruin. Lesser, cruder beasts and beings walk its halls now. For Cadarok to hide there, it makes little sense. But from what the Sorrows told me, it seems as though he had nowhere else to go.
I have felt the energies of Mithra fade to Ashara, mortal. I am glad that this business is concluded. At least the Midden will not be in danger of corruption any more than it already is. I thank you for your part in keeping it so. As payment, take this bauble. I discovered it on a body on one of your kind. May it be useful to you in your travels. We keep the Midden as a monument to the debt we Winterfell have made with nature. But now the Midden is defiled, and we can do our task no longer.
I know you. You are the one who slew the Baelor at Melson Shear. I was at that battle as well. It was my unit that drove the Tuatha off the southern wall. Please, you must help me. Those Jotun will not let me survive much longer. Many soldiers of the Alpha army were drafted, but I volunteered. I could not watch as my southern cousins were annihilated. I have been fighting alongside my brethren for years, and just as I was starting to think that this war would never end, you showed up. Thank you, hero, for giving me hope. They are vile creatures. I do not know how anyone can stand to be around them. You would have to be desperate to hire them as mercenaries. The wind is ferocious, the rocks are sharp, and the water is still and black. You could not find a more inhospitable place. The key to this cage is held by a Jotun rune lord just down the road. That fat bastard comes by here every morning and taunts me with it. Please, retrieve it and get me the hell out of here. After the siege was broken, my commander saw the Witch Knight Claren fleeing to the east. He thought that if we could catch him before he made it to Alabastra, we could get rid of one of the Tuatha generals. We did not count on Claren having a refuge full of Jotun mercenaries. Thank you. The Jotun Rune Lord is just down the road. Please hurry, for I have unfinished business in the keep on the hill. I have never encountered another Fae like him. He is one of the most sadistic generals of the Tuatha army. I do not think he even cares about their religion anymore. He just wants to see the world bathed in blood.
So, the undying mortal from the well has returned. Your mere existence is an abomination against all things. How can you not see this? A child of dust who lives after death. A creature separated from your fate. A being with neither purpose nor reason. You were a mistake. A new way mortals found to pervert the world. Soon you shall be cleansed from my lands.
Lyria, please tell me that barrel of Cruddock slime died painfully. I have another favor to ask of you, hero. The Witch Knight Clarin is holed up in Gennig, the keep on the hill. Meet me inside so that we can hunt him. We cannot let one of the Tuatha's generals escape. We need to go to Gennig, the keep on the hill. Meet me inside. Good, you are here. Clarin has filled this place with Jotun mercenaries. He must not have had that much faith in the Tuatha cause. We cannot let him escape. He must die. No doubt he has surrounded himself with Jotun guards. This will not be easy. Countless Alpha fell to his blades. My friends, my comrades. Even seeing his broken body does nothing to lessen my anger. All of the Tuatha will suffer for their barbarity. Thank you, hero. I will return to the main Alpha army with the news of the Witch Knight's death.
Do not be alarmed, young one. I am not your enemy. Not all of the Winter Fae have joined the ranks of the Tuatha. I did not join the Tuatha when they came, even as other that I cared for fell under their spell. The Great Cycle and the balance are what I follow. This war of theirs is lunacy. Even here, the Tuatha created death and destruction. When they summoned Balor, the region was consumed in flames. It will be a long time before anything grows in the charred path he left behind. I do not understand them or their new god. My friends among them have become wild, not like themselves at all. They are cruel and distant now, fanatical in their beliefs. I am awaiting the return of my beloved, Alea. She fell under the spell of the Tuatha and marched north with their vile army. Among them she perished, one of the many to fall at Melsenshir. I wonder, could you help me with a small task? I need this ring placed inside of a hollow. I am forbidden from entering Ranil. When Alea fell under the spell of the Tuatha, I tried to convince her that it was lunacy, but her belief was fanatical. She banished me from her presence and that of her hollow. Thank you, mortal. Alea's hollow is called Ranil. It lies on the southern edge of the Keening. There is a small altar at its bottom. Place the ring there. I wish to show Alea that my love has remained true, and that I wait for her still. My beloved, we have always been together through every turn of the Great Cycle. But with the coming of the Tuatha, she changed. She no longer cared for the balance, only for their new god. I tried to convince her to return to the cycle, but she wouldn't listen. She marched with the Tuatha army to Melsenshir and fell during the battle. Ranil is a Fey hollow on the southern edge of the Keening. It is where Alea returns after each turn of the Great Cycle. Go to Ranil. It's a hollow on the southern edge of the Keening. Place the ring on the altar you will find there. By doing so, we shall demonstrate to Alea that my love for her remains true. Impressive, is it not? This is where the greater Niskaru, Balor, was summoned. Thank you for placing the ring, mortal. Alea will know that I remain true to her and that I wait for her still. Do you see the crater behind me? It was created when Balor was summoned into this world. One of the greater Niskaru. He wielded power that no mortal should have been able to stand against. I do not understand how anyone's fate could have been to slay such a beast.
The hero of Melsenshir? I did not expect to find you in this damned swamp. We couldn't have picked a worse time to travel in the drowned forest. There's something about the water in this swamp. Every year, Banshane and Mergen come swarming back, and every year, hordes of new Mergen pour out. Ooh, I shudder just thinking about it. We've heard the voices, so we know it's there, and not far. Our orders were to survey, though. We're to avoid it if we can. I had resigned myself to death before that final battle.
When Baelor fell, it was like being granted a new life, a new fate. I joined the Alfar army right before we took back Melsenshire. A glorious battle! My captain fell during the siege, before Baelor fell. Afterwards, I was promoted and put in charge of securing the road through the drowned forest. It's all these damn Mergen. We've arrived just in time for their spawning season. They're filling the swamp and tearing my men to pieces. I don't know how many Banshin are out there, but I venture it's more than one. If you could lend us a hand and destroy any Banshin you find, I'd be forever grateful. I know it's disgusting to imagine, but Banshin are the mothers of those slimy creatures. Every year they return to this swamp and a new wave of Mergen spews forth. Thank you. They seem to be coming from several nests to the west. Find the Banshin and destroy them. Be wary, they're always guarded by more Mergen. Disgusting creatures. I never dreamt I'd end up in one of their swamps. The Banshin to the west need to be destroyed. They're spawning so many Mergen. The swamp's overrun.
Do you need healing? I've never seen one, but all of the wounded who fought them come back with severe burns, like they've been struck by lightning. I came to this swamp expecting a host of diseases, but I wasn't prepared for this. The Mergen and Banshin are everywhere. I've never seen anything like it. I was once a star pupil in the Scholia Arcana, bound for greatness. One indiscreet lapse in Rathir and here I am, a field surgeon. Happy to treat any wounds or diseases. I know it sounds odd, but I'm almost glad to be out here in the swamp. There was something strange going on in that hospital. The soldiers come back from the swamp riddled with holes from the Mergen's blasted tridents. It doesn't matter how many times I tell him, there is no shard of Prismir in his leg. It can foretell neither the weather nor his impending death.
You are Bizerane's catspaw, then? I knew he had let a mortal into the house's ranks. But this is who he sends to do his dirty work. Fie on him! You may return me to the cycle, but if you ever see your master, tell him this. He will never get his hands on the Sorrows. I, all of us, will stop him.
Have you perchance met an Almain around here named Deod Dungaris? The damned fool got himself dragged off by Mergen. I'm a field researcher for the Livrarium in Edessa. I travel and acquire items for gnomes who know best what to do with them. I hired him as a porter from the Rathir docks. It wasn't easy finding someone to accompany me to this swamp. Of course, the instant we're in sight of the castle, Mergen ambushed us and made off with him. If the disease and wildlife don't kill you, the Mergen will. As you've realized, if you've come this far, it's a dangerous swamp. I hadn't expected to be delayed there for so long. It was just impossible to sneak through the opposing lines before the siege was broken. I am on an important mission for Templar Julius Mavern. He has sent me to recover an artifact from Bunlock, this hulking castle here. Things haven't gone entirely to plan. I got stuck in Melsenshire for what seemed like an eternity, and now Mergen have run off with my porter. Would you help me out for a bit? I'll pay you for your time. I'm afraid I don't know the exact details. Only that it is small and easy to carry. It must have been built by fools, constructed right in the middle of a Mergen breeding ground. Didn't take long for the Mergen to move in and make a feast of the original owners. Great. First, please retrieve my pack from those Mergen. Deod was carrying it when he was captured, and it contains the key to the castle. I'll meet you at the entrance to Bunlock once you've retrieved it. No one has lived there for centuries. Not surprising since it was built in the middle of Murgan breeding grounds. Nasty creatures. They exploded out of the water and snatched Deod before I could react. My employer is a collector of ancient artifacts. He's very secretive and keeps to himself, but I suspect he is seeking something specific.
You struggle against the force of a simple army. How will you fare, I wonder, against the power of a god? Of course you aren't. You may be a foolish, unclean sin against the natural order, but I'll grant that you're no coward. The only solution is for you to be cleansed when Tiernok the Merciful comes to our world. Soon.
Excellent. You found my pack, and the key to Bonlock. It's still here. Good. Now we just need to find that artifact. A shame about poor Deod. He was a steadfast worker, and I never heard a complaint out of him. Oh well, these things happen. I'll meet you inside, and we'll begin our search for the artifact. That's it? Not very impressive, is it? I wonder what's inside. Doesn't look like we'll be able to get it open, but my employer might. Here is your reward, as promised. If you'll excuse me, I don't want to linger here.
You have finally returned. Much has happened since you were away. The house has been sundered. Not by Tuatha, but by ourselves. The house has rebelled. The other members of the house have marched against the Tuatha. I'm afraid they may have attacked Bizarane. I do not think he is dead, but we must see to him. Saturnin is watching us, I can sense it. If Bizarane is left undefended... It will be difficult for you to understand, but many did not consider Bizarane the true king of our house. While many wanted to war with the Tuatha, Bizarane stayed our hands. And while our house collapsed around us, Bizarane did nothing. I will not lie. Though I see the value of your presence, many felt that bringing a mortal into our ranks crossed the line. With you, Bizarane made his final error. Yes, unfortunately the doors to the house are barred from the inside. I am capable of shadow stepping through, but I'm afraid that you, as a mortal, must take a longer route. Go through the proving halls, but be warned, Bolgan roam those corridors now. Saturnin's already started moving to crush us.
You have arrived as Tybri said you would. It is good that you were able to get through the proving halls unscathed. But there are greater events at work here. The house may have breathed its last. The rebels have begun a march of folly to make war on the Tuatha. As they said, they are rallying at a fortress called the Fallen Hall. I sought to stay them. They ignored me. I sought to warn them. They paid no heed. For them, the war started when I became the King of Sorrows. And now, my reign ends. Saturnin wants this, mortal. Without leadership, the rebels will be easily picked off, and so it falls to you and Tybri to save them. Years ago, the House of Sorrows and the Tuatha made a pact of necessity. The house would remain free of the Tuatha, but could not interfere with their war. In addition, the Tuatha demanded we appoint a more amiable king, one who would uphold the pact. And so I was named. I became the face of our submission, and when Saturnin led the Tuatha to fight us, the house had no reason left to heed me. Saturnin has made a miscalculation in moving to kill these rebels. Namely, he did not foresee you. We must exploit this fact. Saturnin will have to reveal himself in some form. Go south and learn all you can from him. Kill him if possible. I have instructed Tybri to assist you as best she can, but she is not as suited to this work as you, mortal. Look after her. He has wreaked havoc within the house, and loosed horrors that none of us dare witness a second time. He is our foe, and he must be stopped. They are in the Fallen Hall. Save who you can, but more importantly, we must learn what we can of Saturnin.
It is a dark place we have come to. I can hear the sorrows of our brothers and sisters. They are crying out with each sword stroke. Saturnin has tainted this place. We must head deeper into the hall. Behind the great cavern there's a holdfast sealed with mighty doors. The rebels will be there, and likely Saturnin as well. That was the leader. It must have been Saturnin, and if he's heading in there, that must be where the rest of the House of Sorrows are. We have to get past this door. We need to stop him before the rebels are all killed. The Fallen Hall is a fortress in the Feylands. To get to its heart, we will need to open 3 great doors. There should be 2 other sigil stones that we can use in addition to the one before us. They will grant us passage. The Fallen Hall is well known in these lands for its strong defences. There are 3 sigil stones that control the Holdfast's mighty doors. They are strewn throughout the hall. Activate all of them and the path to the Holdfast will be open.
Oh, this is splendid. I was worried I would have nothing left to see to after I slaughtered these wretches. Saturnin, you use that name so freely, but your little guess is wrong. I am not Saturnin. I am but a blade that Saturnin has employed in his war, and now that blade turns on you. You are more amusing than I originally believed, but my master has given me instructions to spare you. Saturnin has a message for you to deliver to your master. This war is over. Soon the Sorrows will belong to the Tuatha.
I can scarcely believe it. All this death, all this destruction, and we have nothing to show for it. No Saturnin, no safety. The Weeping King left the world with good cause, for all that is left of the House of Sorrows is ruin. We must return to Bizrain with this news. He will want to know what has happened here.
Saturnin, this latest wound he has dealt may be fatal. He need only for us to succumb, and then he can find these Sorrows. So that is what we will deny him. Let our losses harden our resolve. Where once we sought victory, we shall now seek attrition. Fae are the embodiment of magic. When a Delver takes the burden of winter from a Fae, those burdens are in the form of magic. Over centuries, these magics have been collected, contained in a secret location, the Sorrows that Saturnin seeks. It is a difficult magic for a mortal mind to grasp, but the accumulation of centuries of sorrows is a fearsome weapon indeed. The burden of a single lifetime of sorrows can be debilitating. Their impact can instill madness or drive a life to end itself. Saturnin would hold a millennium of sorrows. With them, he could obliterate an army's morale and send them from victory to bedlam. Their location is an ancient secret. Only 2 Fae, the eldest, know. They left the house centuries ago to reside in Amalur. The way to them is blocked by the Great Scale, a mighty spell which you must bypass. That alone will open your path to the eldest. You must kill beasts on the pans of the scale. Death is the only weight it will bear. They know where the Sorrows, Saturnin's true target, reside. We must rouse them from their reverie and learn from them. To reach them, one must brave the road southward to Amalur and pass the Great Scale. It is a manifestation of magic that prevents intruders from disturbing the perpetual reverie of the eldest. From what I understand, the sides of the room take the role of a scale, and whoever wishes passage must use death itself to manipulate the scale. The only weight the pans of the scale will acknowledge is death. When something dies on the scale, it will shift you one step closer to the eldest. Kael'rad and Alarain are 2 of the oldest Fae in the Winter Realm. So old that they predate the house itself. With the death of the house's original ruler, the Weeping King, they fled. Their devotion was to the sorrows, not to winter.
The Mergen numbers have already decreased. Thank you. Now we can press forward and drive the damned Tuatha back into their hole. Take this. It's not much, but I hope it helps somehow. The spawn of Banshane. You'll find them in damp, miserable places like this. Those tridents they carry pierce steel like it was paper.
You cannot hide your amazement. Truly, your facade is a weak one, my liege. But still, I appreciate the effort. But what is an art gallery without an artist? The painter Benwick Atham from the village showed interest, so I invited him to join us here. You will find him in the gallery, searching for inspiration. I find it curious that our keep's every need seems to be filled at just the right moment. An artist and a linguist arrive on our beach just as we build a library and a gallery? Preposterous, right? I fear I'm starting to agree with one thing Alda says. Akara brings to the island those who need to be here. Though I had no idea I was building an art gallery, I dare say I may have created the world's finest purely by accident. There's one last thing to build. Your keep is tall, but, yes, not tall enough. My dream has shown me a tower so tall and so majestic that ships will see it from miles around. You could not be overlooked. For this, I will need 3 bundles of beech stone, 4 bundles of bear hide, 3 bundles of ember wood, and 3 bundles of sea steel. Nothing in the runes suggests what function the tower served, but I don't think it matters. This last crowning jewel to your keep should be something new, something entirely out of our own inspiration. Something has guided us so far. Fate, Akara, I don't know. I say we trust in whatever it is to lead us to the end of the journey. My dream offers no insight about the tower, but fills me with awe at its majesty. It occurs to me that this tower may have some special purpose for us, but I need to make some inquiries. Okay. Once again, I've had Zephwin provide me with locations on your map where you might find the materials. I can't wait to get started on this project.
You must be the great liege that Paddy has been talking about. He kept going on and on about how magnificent and benevolent you are. Honestly, I just agreed to move up here to get out of the wind. That town on the cliff was a bit breezy. Me? I'm afraid I'm not for sale. Just kidding. I know that's not what you meant. Buy me a drink later, and maybe we'll talk. I've got quite the eclectic selection. Kind of out of necessity, seeing as we're in the middle of nowhere. We were caught in a fog bank off the coast of the plains of Erethel, when another ship came looming out of the mists in front of us. The captain tried to avoid it, but we ran aground on a reef. The ship broke apart, and I washed up here. I only got a passing glance at the other ship, but I think the name began with a C.
It's quite the beautiful day. Nothing is more exciting to an artist as a massive room of blank, flat walls. Ah, how I shall fill them! My muse summoned me at a very young age to keep my hands supple for painting. I asked Alder to find me some non-physical labour to do. He started talking about pitching in and helping, and I may have stopped listening. I wasn't doing anyone any good there. I need to be where there's beauty. Paddy found a bunch of old paintings during his last construction. They're all fairly damaged, but I believe I can restore them using some magical paints. However, I will need you to go kill some monsters for me. You see, my magical paint soaks up the essence of beasts when they die. Not only will that make it possible for me to restore the paintings, but the paintings will take on magical properties. A little something given to me by a gnome scholar.
They capture the essence of beasts when they're killed nearby. The gnomes said they were still experimental, but they seem to work fine. Okay, this first painting appears to be some kind of cave. It should be interesting to see how it turns out. For this one, you'll need to kill some Mergen and scavs. Bring the vials of paint back to me once they've changed colour. You need to tint the vials I've given you by killing certain corresponding monsters. Bring the vials back to me once they've changed colour.
What do you think, my liege? Nothing has ever reached so high to the heavens. I've sent for Myfa Ronwyn, my friend in Cape Solace. She is willing to serve the keep as your envoy to foreign lands. If you require her services, she can be found in the embassy. My liege, now that your throne room is prepared, you have an opportunity to truly help your people. We will let it be known that whenever you sit upon your throne, you will hear petitions from anyone who comes before you. You may render judgment or offer help as you see fit, and your people will show their gratitude. Never thought I'd say it, but I truly believe we have a Kara to thank for this keep. I'm not about to volunteer to be the scion, but I'd have to be a fool to deny the truth. You, the dream, the key, the castaways, all of it, just when we needed it. I hope you don't mind. As a gesture of my gratitude, I planted the seed of a mighty tree in the courtyard in honor of Akara's help. It was the least I could do, I think.
My liege, being the diplomatic sort, I'll just say I am much happier here. Ember Deep is a Diverga city on the Obsidian Isle. No one here has been kinder to me than Paddy. I admire his stubborn refusal to accept any setback. Honestly, I count him as my best friend. Perhaps, in my service to Gravehall, I can atone for my failings and bring the peace that eluded me. My gifts failed me, however, when the first sparks of the Crystal War ignited. Perhaps nothing could have stopped it, but I still feel culpable. When great powers speak to each other, it has often been with my own voice. I have a way of getting people to ask for what they really want and accept what I am offering. Fort Olghorn is a Varani trading post in Dregshaw. Renlock is a Loselfar town in the bitter cold of Icebrine Coast. I am humbled to serve Gravehall Keep as its envoy to the world. Thank you for honoring me so. Without further ado, let's begin. By your command, I can embark on diplomatic missions to our closest neighbors across the sea. Shall we begin? Once you've given me my mission, I will depart immediately to deliver whatever message or gesture you see fit. I will be away for as long as it takes to complete my mission. Upon my return, I shall await you here to report the result. Our three closest neighbors are the Diverga of the Obsidian Isles to the northwest, the Varani of Dregshaw to the southeast, and the Loselfar of the Icebrine Coast to the southwest. You may dispatch me to their capital cities, Ember Deep, Fort Olghorn, or Renlock. With friendly neighbors, I can offer tribute, propose trade, collect gifts, or forge an alliance. With hostile powers, I can declare war, stage raids of goods, or collect spoils of war. I am skilled at espionage as well. You may entrust me to perform all manner of clandestine tasks. With whom should we engage in diplomacy? The Diverga are straightforward and honest. They will make a deal if it's to their advantage. Those in Emberdeep are concerned with three things: sea, trade, and brew. What kind of diplomatic mission would you like me to conduct with them? How big a trade would you like me to make? Excellent. This should improve relations between us. I'll be back tomorrow.
I have been looking for a friend of mine who was also aboard our ship when we wrecked. I believe she could have survived the crash, but I can't find her. Her name is Sister Siana. Will you find her for me? All I know is the front of the ship broke off as we approached the island and drifted west. Oh, think Lyria. I saw the front end of the ship floating to the western part of the island. I pray Sister Siana has found her way safely ashore.
I can't believe my luck. You're the new Archsage. Please, where can I find food and shelter? A whole Dverga keep, you say? That should do quite nicely, thank you. I wasn't always so gifted in magic. I started to manifest abilities about the same time as I started to notice boys, so my parents sent me off to the Scholia Arcana. Never decided if they were trying to protect me more from magic or from boys. Thank goodness you got us transportation. I think I may try to steal some time with it to visit some nearby islands. Deirdre is quite useful to have around. She's even helped me translate an ancient book on spellbinding. Perhaps one day we can start our own chapter house out here, one to rival even the one in Rathir. We were conducting magical experiments on the open sea. It was thought that we could use our magic to open up a hole in the water. Turns out we did. Only it swallowed the ship whole, killing everyone but me.
Do you need my services? It wouldn't surprise me. This filthy island is probably crawling with disease. I was afraid of the worst, and rightly so, it turns out. Thank you for bringing me this letter. It's comforting to have her final words.
When my ship wrecked on the island, the first thing I did was hide all my goods. Unfortunately, the place I chose is on the other side of the island. If you would go get them for me, I have a special shield in my inventory that's all yours. Not sure, but it looks old. Probably even predates the Dverga on this island. Thank you so much. I marked the spot on your map. It'll be quite a trek.
I'd like to get some chickens for the keep. However, I need you to get some feed for them. Just a little bit of meat. For one thing, that'll improve everyone's mood. For another, it never hurts to have more food about. Thanks. It'll be nice to have something to wake us in the morning, eh? Wait, that's roosters. Should get some of those too, but that's another matter.
Mine's more of a challenge than a request. I challenge you to get to the bottom of the tidal pools. Because that cave has some of the longest jumps I've ever seen. I just want to know what's at the bottom. Good luck. Even I'm not crazy enough to go down some of those jumps.